Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 2nd of January. I want to talk about the secret female again, and it is actually the corrected female, where the female fulfills her correct function within creation. And the whole thing came to me because last night I went back to the story in the garden, and all of a sudden I had a realization, which kind of hit me very hard. And that is in that story, when Eve took of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, yeah? And she ate of the apple, and then she gave it to her husband, which means by the time she gave that knowledge to her husband, there was already a chunk out of it. She had taken that. He never got that knowledge. That is a knowledge that is purely retained within her. And I was thinking, what is that knowledge that is in Eve, that is not in the male? And it is the knowledge of boundaries. That is what she knows, which apparently the male hasn't got a hold of, especially not at the moment. So, if we talk about male and female, we talk about intellect, rational thought, which is what gives birth to the forms, which interprets. It is the interpretation. It is our brain that interprets the energies. So she gives birth to the forms. She has created the story. It is the intellect that has created the story. And that is not only the story of us, again, that's not the only interpretation, but also the picture of nature, of forests, of oceans, of mountains, of the animals. She has given that form. You know, the creative part of her has given that form, and I think she has created a rather beautiful picture. And she has created, and yes, it is a limited picture, but in it, you know, she has created order out of chaos. So creating a story is using out of the field of all possibilities and creating a story. And this is what she has created. And it's a lovely story. She doesn't know all, obviously. She has created a narrow band in which her story shall live. Her husband is the knowledge of all. Yes. Our emotional knowledge is that which reaches out of the field and into the field and knows all possibilities. And at the moment, that knowledge is awakening. Our husband is waking up because things are going belly up. And he's going all the way out there. Yeah? He's going all the way out there. Everything is possible. And it is really like, you know, a woman with a house where there are some things in that house that don't serve, that, you know, we need to do some DIY here to improve the house a bit, where it doesn't build things onto it, or, you know, correct a few things. And the husband is off on one, saying, you know, everything is possible, let's tear the bloody thing down, let's tear the whole thing down and build a palace, you know, while she stood there with her children. So he's tearing the whole bloody place down out of the knowledge of, you know, I can do anything. And then let's build something, and not even, and that's the other thing, not building with her and the children in mind, but according to what I can do. Look what I've built for you. And you're standing there thinking, oh, great. You know, not quite what I was looking for. Not functional for me and my children. So as listening to David Icke, especially where I can see that, where he says, you are on this narrow band of frequency. Now, that is the female story. And you're imprisoned in this story. You need to get out further. That story is sustaining you. That story means you can live. And then he goes, and to hell with the consequences. If you think of the consequences, it creates fear. Yes, it does. And it does so for a reason. Because the knowledge you bring home should serve the story, not tear it down, not go up against it. So, but again, it is a story of, again, in the garden, Lilith and Eve, where Lilith wanted to be in charge. Yeah, so the rational mind will rule over the knowledge of all possibilities, in which case you do create a prison. She's the knowledge of now, she's the knowledge of what is, and if she says there's nothing else and that is materialistic knowledge, then we're not going any further. So that was wrong. So what did they do? They put that female out of the garden, which is, I think, what we're about to do, and they replaced her with Eve, which is a complete doormat. Eve is a doormat, yeah? So she will serve her husband. Her knowledge shall serve the husband. So, and that is, again, that is science. Her knowledge as in science, her knowledge of the materialistic forms, which is the knowledge of the rational mind, should serve everything is possible. And don't, woman, don't come to me talking about consequences. You are holding me back. Yeah, I'm going to go boldly where no man has gone before, and don't you talk to me about consequences. We're not allowed to talk about consequences. We are to believe that, this is the possibility and it will take us somewhere and it's going to be good. And there is the correction of the female, whereas she has got the knowledge of the forms and her husband is the knowledge of all possibilities. Yes, she should give that knowledge to her husband to serve him, the knowledge of the materialistic forms. But again, she bit into the apple first, and the knowledge that she has is a knowledge of boundaries. And that is, again, what she must give to her husband. Her husband is the knowledge of all possibilities, is to enhance the story, to give to the story, but the boundary is that it must work with the story, not tear it down. If you see the story of the flood, you see the water driven by emotional knowledge. Anything is possible. They were told for 120 years that the entire earth will be covered with water. And for the longest part, the rational mind stood there and said, that's not possible, until it was overcome. And the emotional knowledge, the water took over and destroyed the world. They're saying this world now is to be destroyed by fire, which is the knowledge of the rational thought. The only reason why she is going to destroy this world is because she's a doormat. And she is given of her knowledge freely, the knowledge of this world, the knowledge of the forms, and she is not using the knowledge that she has, and which is the knowledge of consequences, the knowledge of boundaries. She is not putting her foot down to tell her husband, rein it in a bit. You're far too far out. This does not serve anything. It will destroy the story. And the story should not be destroyed. It should be enhanced, yes, but not destroyed. So that is the sacred female. The one that has the knowledge, that gives birth to the forms, but most importantly, she has got the knowledge of boundaries. And she must tell her husband, to stop moving mountains. They're there for a reason. Just because you can does not mean you should. I think that is the bit of the apple that Eve retained, that she did not give to her husband. And in a way it's a good thing, because that means a part of us is free. A part of us is free, and it can go wherever it likes. And it can bring back that knowledge. And that is good. That is our freedom. But again, just because you can does not mean you should. And that is Eve's knowledge. And that is where she must put her foot down. That's where the female must put her foot down. And tell her husband where to stop. And then she is the fullness of herself. And she must be the fullness of herself, because otherwise this whole thing is imbalanced. There's a part of her missing. The part that is the knowledge of boundaries, that should speak up. That part is missing. And that is why this whole thing is going belly up, imbalanced. Anyway, I leave it at that for today, and I talk to you again soon. Bye.